My mother-in-law scolded me, tired just from taking care of one child? Back in my day, I worked the fields and did housework with Derek without any trouble. You're just being pretentious. I smiled and handed her my resignation letter. Mom, you're right. I've decided to go back to work and earn money for the family. From now on, the house and the kids will be your responsibility, the childcare expert. Ignoring her pale expression, I shoved the crying baby and the restless twin boys into her arms and walked out confidently. Oh, by the way, the formula is on top of the cabinet, the baby food recipes are on the iPad, and the kids' allergy list is on the fridge. Good luck, Mom. Tired just from taking care of one child? Back in my day, I worked the fields with Derek, carrying him on my back all the while. I think you're just a city kid, spoiled unpretentious. My mother-in-law Grace's voice was like a rusty saw, rasping and tearing at my fragile nerves. She stood with one hand on her hip, the other finger pointed at my nose, spittle nearly spraying my face. I held my 1-year-old daughter in my arms, who was whining softly from a fever. At my feet, my 4-year-old twin sons, Mason and Milo, were erupting into what felt like the Third World War over a single Transformer toy. I hadn't slept through a night in 3 days. My head was pounding, stars flashing before my eyes. I looked at my husband Derek, sitting on the couch, giggling foolishly while scrolling through short videos, then back at my sharp-witted, vociferous mother-in-law. A dark, burning rage finally broke through the dam of my reason. I laughed. Amidst all this chaos and noise, I actually laughed. Mom, you're right. My voice was soft, yet like a cold knife, it instantly cut through the clamor. For a moment, the living room fell silent. Grace was stunned, clearly not expecting this reaction from me. Derek also looked up from his phone, staring at me in bewilderment. Cradling my feverish little daughter, I stepped in front of Grace, my smile gentle like that of a saint. It's me who's useless, it's me who's being overly sensitive. Mom, you worked so hard back then to raise Derek, and now that conditions are so much better, it must be a piece of cake for you. Of course. Grace puffed out her chest, wearing a look that said, you finally get it. I nodded, carefully placing the warm, soft little daughter in my arms gently into hers. Poppy has a slight fever, just use physical cooling methods. Don't keep thinking about medicine always has side effects. Then, I turned around, picking up Mason and Milo, who were still rolling on the floor, one in each hand, like carrying little chicks, and placed them both beside Grace. Mason and Milo are full of energy, which shows their intelligence. Mom, you have plenty of experience, spend more time playing educational games with them. Don't let them watch TV, it's bad for their eyes. Grace was instantly surrounded by the 3 children, one soft and cuddly in her arms, 2 heavy ones hanging on her legs. The pride on her face froze instantly, turning somewhat pale. Shaw, what are you doing? I ignored her, turned and walked into the bedroom, and when I came out again, I was holding a job offer. That's right. I walked to the entrance, slipped on my high heels, picked up the commuter bag that had gathered a thin layer of dust, and turned back to flash them a bright smile. Mom was right. I shouldn't be a useless couch potato at home, complaining about being tired every day. I've made up my mind, starting today, I'm going back to work, earning money, and creating more financial value for this family. I looked at Grace's face, which was gradually losing its color, and added, from now on, the house and these 3 kids will be your responsibility, the childcare expert. Those who can do more, should do more. You're crazy, Shaw. Grace screamed, and Poppy in her arms, frightened by the outburst, cried even louder. Oh, right. As if I had just remembered, I pointed toward the kitchen. Poppy's imported formula is tucked away at the very back of the topmost cabinet. I hid it because I was afraid she'd mess with it. The twins' diapers are all gone, you'll have to hand wash the few spares on the balcony. Also, I saved the baby food recipes on the iPad, the password is your birthday. On the fridge door, there's a list of the kids' allergens, seafood, mango, nuts, make sure they don't touch any of those. I opened the door, the sunlight outside glaring yet full of hope. With a bang, I shut the door, cutting off the storm of cries and curses behind me. The world fell silent. I didn't go to work right away. I booked a king-size room at the best hotel downtown, drew the blackout curtains, put my phone on silent, and then dove into the soft bed, sinking into a deep, oblivious sleep. I didn't know how long I had slept, only that when I woke up, the city lights outside the window had already come alive. My body felt as if it had been taken apart and put back together, every joint screaming with soreness, yet my mind was clearer than ever before. I unlocked my phone, and instantly dozens of missed calls popped up, half from Derek, half from Grace. There were also hundreds of messages. I opened Grace's. The latest was sent half an hour ago, a voice message lasting 60 seconds. I tapped it open. Shaw. You heartless person. Where the hell have you been? The kid's fever hit 39 degrees. The medicine you hid is useless. Mason Milo treated my cold medicine like candy and now he's at the hospital getting his stomach pumped. What kind of sick mind do you have? Are you trying to kill our whole family? You better come back right now. Her voice was hoarse and frantic, with Poppy's heart-wrenching cries and the noisy hospital background audible. I listened expressionlessly, then calmly typed a reply. Mom, what are you talking about? What I left wasn't medicine, but cooling gel patches. I've said it before, medicine always has side effects, and children shouldn't take it casually. As for your cold medicine, how could you leave it where the kids could reach it? Aren't you the most experienced? I've taken care of them and never had an incident like this. I paused, then added, when you raised Derek, didn't you work in the fields while watching him? Now you're just at home, and it's only the first day, how could you be so flustered? Mom, you can't be contradicting yourself. After sending the message, I blocked her immediately. Then, I opened Derek's message. The content was much the same, starting with accusations, then anger, and now sheer panic. Honey, please come back quickly, the kids are all in the hospital, I can't handle this alone. I called him back. The phone was answered almost instantly. Shaw. You finally picked up. Derek's voice sounded like he was about to cry. Where are you? Come to the hospital quickly. Hospital? I feigned surprise. What happened? Didn't I leave the kids with the most capable mom? How did they end up in the hospital? How can you even say that? Mom said you hid the medicine, and the kids took my mom's medicine. Stop. I interrupted him. Derek, you need to speak with some conscience. First, I didn't hide any medicine, what I left were cooling gel patches, clearly labeled on the packaging. Second, why was your mom's cold medicine left out in the open? As her son, didn't you remind her to put it away properly? Third, and most importantly, haven't you and your mother always thought I was overreacting and spoiling the kids? So what's changed now? It's been less than 8 hours, and everything's already a mess? There was a silence on the other end of the line, only his heavy breathing could be heard. Today, I am officially notifying you, my voice was as cold as ice, from today on, I am no longer the free nanny you can call around and belittle at will. I have to work, I have to earn money. The household matters, the children's education, you, Derek, as a father, bear half the responsibility. Your mother, who proudly claims to be an expert at childcare, if she takes on the full load, then she must bear the consequences. Didn't she say she had no problem working in the fields with you back then? This is nothing, I chuckled lightly, tell her this is only the first day, let her hold on. If I, the delicate daughter-in-law, can endure for 4 years, then she, the capable mother-in-law, should be able to last at least a week, right? After hanging up, I knew this was just the beginning. My plan was only just unfolding. From the moment I decided to fight back, I had rehearsed it countless times in my mind. It wasn't a rash decision to run away from home, but a carefully orchestrated family power handover ceremony. In truth, it was all part of the daily nitpicking they used to heap on me. Take Poppy's allergies, for example. She's allergic to 80% of the diaper creams on the market, only one German brand, expensive and hard to find, actually works. They always said I was wasting money, no need to buy such an expensive one. Grace would definitely use it on Poppy, and then Poppy's bottom would end up as red as a monkey's. Take household chores, for example. The washing machine in my home is a new model front-loading machine with many functions. The night before, I deliberately set it to with sterilize and mite removal mode, which takes 3.5 hours to complete and cannot be opened midway. I know Grace is used to the old-style top-loading washing machine where you can add clothes anytime, so she will definitely think the washing machine is broken. Then there's the smart rice cooker. I restored it to factory settings and deleted the quick modes. If she wants to use it, she has to study the manual function by function. And that manual? I wedged it under a corner of the kitchen cabinet to level it out. None of this is sabotage, but restoration. I'm simply reclaiming all the invisible mental labor I usually invest to keep this household running efficiently. I let them experience what happens when a home without me instantly falls apart into a pile of scattered pieces. Lying on the big bed in the hotel, I began the second step of my plan, returning to the workforce. I'm not bluffing. Before marriage, I was a core data recovery engineer at a well-known IT company. My job was to rescue clients' invaluable data from hard drives and servers damaged physically or corrupted logically. It was a highly specialized, high-pressure job, and naturally, the salary was very high. Back then, it was Derek and his mother Grace, constantly whispering in my ear, saying things like, "Why work so hard when you're a woman? My son can support you, and children need their mother to raise them personally." That's how I half-heartedly resigned. Now, I'm going to pick up work again. I dug out an old colleague's contact and sent a message, "Dawn, emergency help needed, got any gigs? Price negotiable." He replied almost instantly, "Shaw? You're finally stepping up? That's great. There's a big job. A publicly listed company's servers were maliciously formatted by hackers, all their financial data wiped out, and the audit is next week. The CEO is about to lose it, offering a 7-figure fee. Do you dare to take it?" My fingers tapped on the screen, my heart pounding with the thrill of a long-missed challenge. I'm in. The next day, I didn't go home but headed straight to the company. After signing the confidentiality agreement, seeing those hard drives delivered to the clean room made me feel my blood ignite all over again. This is the battlefield that belongs to me. For the next 2 days, I practically lived at the office, losing myself in endless lines of code and data. Meanwhile, Derek's calls and messages bombarded me non-stop. I only managed to reply to a few during meal breaks. His messages shifted from initial anger and accusations to exhaustion and pleading. "Honey, I was wrong, I really was. Please come back. Mom is so worn out she's fallen ill and can't get out of bed." I replied, "What illness? Did she go to the hospital? What did the doctor say?" "The doctor said it's just fatigue, combined with stress and anger, nothing serious. She was told to rest at home." I sneered and typed, "Oh, isn't that just being pretentious? Back when I gave birth to twins, I still had to get up to feed them during my confinement, even though the cesarean scar hurt like it was splitting open." "What did Mom say?" "She said, which woman doesn't suffer when giving birth? You're just being delicate. Now she's just a little tired, and she's already down? She should learn from me back then and be a bit stronger." There was a long silence from Derek's side before he finally sent a message, "Can you please not be so sarcastic? I'm just repeating what you all once said to me." "What? Does it sound so harsh coming from my mouth?" He sent another photo. In the picture, Grace was lying in bed, her face pale and waxen, eyes tightly shut, looking truly exhausted. "Derek, look, Mom is really sick. Poppy has been crying non-stop. Mason Milo has drawn all over every surface he could find in the house, and even smashed the TV. I took a day off, but I just can't handle it. This home can't be without you." Looking at that photo, I felt not a flicker of emotion. I even found it somewhat laughable. Just a few days? Only 3 days. I switched my phone back to silent and threw myself back into work. I knew that when Derek said, "This home can't be without you," what he really meant was, "This home can't be without a free nanny to take care of us." His awakening was far from enough. I needed to teach him, and them, a much deeper lesson. By the afternoon of the 4th day, I had successfully recovered 95% of the data. The CEO of the other company was so overwhelmed with gratitude that he almost knelt before me and immediately transferred the payment to my bank card. Staring at that long string of numbers in the text message, all the frustration and resentment I had bottled up during my 4 years as a full-time housewife seemed to find an outlet. This wasn't about the money, it was about having my worth recognized. After finishing work, it was time to go home and check in. When I got home, Derek shouted at me, blaming me for the state the house was in. "Derek." My voice turned cold. "Let me make this clear. First, I didn't mess up the house, it was spotless when I left. Second, Mom didn't get sick because of me, she promised herself things she couldn't deliver and was crushed by reality." I paused, then spoke slowly and clearly, word by word. "You have time to vent your anger at me here, but why not hurry up and check your mom's blood pressure, and clean up the mess your son made? Don't forget, you are the man of this house, the biological father of those 3 kids." Derek was left speechless, caught off guard by my words. After a moment, he took the initiative to apologize. "The things at home, my mom's issues, it's all my fault. I haven't fulfilled my duties as a husband and father. I always thought these things should be done by you. My mom, she has old-fashioned ideas, a sharp tongue, but her heart isn't bad." When I heard "her heart isn't bad," I almost burst out laughing. I replied, "So, her 4 years of verbal abuse and psychological pressure on me were all because her heart isn't bad?" There was silence from Derek's side again. I knew he was still trying to make excuses for his mother. But that no longer mattered. What mattered was that he had begun to admit, "It's my fault." That was a huge step forward. My war was never just against Grace alone, it was against the suffocating, taken for granted old order that the two of them, mother and son, had built together. What I wanted wasn't their apologies, I wanted them to fundamentally change their thoughts and behaviors at the root. That night, I didn't return to the hotel but went to the small apartment I had before marriage. It was the house my parents had left me, and it had been empty all this time. I opened the door, and everything in the room was just as I had left it. I took a hot shower, changed into clean clothes, and made myself a simple dinner. While eating, I received a call from my mom. "Shaw, did you have a fight with Derek?" Her voice was full of concern. "Mom, I'm fine," I said calmly. "I just want them to understand some truths." "But the children are innocent." "Mom," I interrupted her, "it's precisely because the children are innocent that I have to do this. If I don't resist, they will always take my efforts for granted, and they will always treat an incompetent father and a grandmother who constantly blames others as normal. Do you think children raised in such an environment will have a happy future?" My mom fell silent. "I'm not seeking revenge, I'm correcting a mistake. This process might be ugly, but better a short pain than a long one." After hanging up, I opened my computer and began handling the follow-up work. That 7-figure order still required me to produce a detailed data recovery report. Time always flew by when I was focused on work. Late into the night, my phone rang again. It was an unfamiliar landline number. I answered, and a weak, aged voice came through. "Is this Shaw?" It was my mother-in-law, Grace. My heart sank sharply. Not out of pity, but a premonition that a final battle was about to begin. "It's me. I'm sorry." On the other end, Grace's voice trembled with tears, a tone I had never heard in the 5 years since I married into their family. "I was wrong, I shouldn't have said those things, I shouldn't have tried to be strong. Taking care of the kids is just too hard, really too hard." She began to cry incoherently. She told me how she had been getting through the past couple of days. Poppy cried day and night, and she held her, soothing her until her arms felt like they were about to break. The twins were like two wild horses without bridles, wrecking the house, fighting, refusing to eat, wearing down her decades-old bones. She had no time to cook, no time to clean up, not even time to use the bathroom. She said she lay on the sofa, not pretending to be sick, but truly unable to get up. She felt the world spinning and a heavy weight pressing on her chest. Only now do I realize, what kind of life you've been living all these years. She sobbed, gasping for breath, it's all my fault. Please don't take those words I said to heart. I beg you, come back, this home can't be without you, the children can't be without you either. Listening to her pleading, my heart was completely calm. I had been waiting for this day, waiting for far too long. But I knew this was not the time to soften. The revolution is not yet successful, comrades must continue to strive. Mom, my voice betrayed no emotion, please don't cry for now. I heard everything you said. But if you want me to come back, fine. I have a few conditions. On the other end of the phone, the crying abruptly stopped. What conditions? Grace's voice was tinged with caution. First, I raised a finger as if she could see it, from now on, in this household, I have the sole and final say on how the children are raised and how the chores are managed. You may offer suggestions, but I have the right to reject them. You can no longer use phrases like back in my day or I've eaten more salt than you've eaten rice to pressure me. Silence fell on the other end of the line. Second, Derek must take responsibility as a father and husband. After work every day, he is to spend at least an hour with the children, and on weekends, he must take them out for half a day. As for the housework, the three of us adults will split it evenly. I will make a detailed list, no one is allowed to shirk their duties. Third, and most importantly, I emphasized. I'm not quitting my job anymore. The money I earn, I'll manage myself. For the household expenses, we'll set up a joint account, and every month Derek and I will deposit money into it according to our incomes. As for you, Grandma, since you're helping with the kids, we'll also pay you a childcare salary from this account every month. What? Pay me? Grace's voice sounded like she'd been scalded. Yes. I said firmly, clear accounts among close family. You're putting in the work, so you deserve to be compensated. This isn't me being filial, it's what you're owed. This way, you're not just helping out, and we're not mooching off you. We're equal partners who respect each other. If you ever feel tired or don't want to do it anymore, you can resign at any time, and we'll find another solution, like hiring a nanny. Discuss it with Derek, I gave her an out. When you've worked it out and come to a decision, call me. Until then, I'm not coming back. The kids will have to rely on you. After saying that, I didn't wait for her response and hung up. The next day, I didn't receive a call from them, but instead got an unexpected case at the company. It was from the listed company I had helped before. Their competitor was suspected of stealing their core business secrets, which led to their crushing defeat in the latest bidding round. They suspected a mole but lacked evidence. They wanted to hire me to use my data recovery skills to find any clues from some computers and servers that had been cleaned. This case was far more complex than simple data recovery, it felt more like the work of a corporate spy and detective. The challenge was immense, and of course, the pay was astonishingly high. I accepted it almost without hesitation. I suddenly realized that the moment I broke free from that suffocating family environment, my world instantly expanded beyond measure. I was no longer the woman revolving solely around her husband, children, and kitchen. I am a top-tier data expert, capable of using my mind and skills to solve the most difficult problems and create tremendous value. That sense of accomplishment is something that cooking a meal or tidying a home could never compare to. Just as I was fully immersed in the new case, Derek showed up. He found my small apartment, standing at my door with a face worn and defeated. "Let's talk," he said. I let him in. This was the first face-to-face conversation since our Cold War began. He sat across from me, eyes fixed on the two laptops and the streams of data on the screens before me, his expression complicated. "Are you really working? What else?" I didn't look up. Do you think I've been out sightseeing these past few days? That's not what I meant. He rubbed his hands nervously, looking uneasy. I just haven't seen you like this in a long time. I paused my work and looked at him. Derek, what exactly are you trying to say? He took a deep breath, as if making a big decision. I agree. I accept all the conditions you set. I raised an eyebrow, said nothing, waiting for him to continue. These past few days, I took annual leave to stay home and take care of the kids. Only now do I truly understand. I really only now realize what kind of life you used to live. His voice was a little hoarse. I used to think, it's just taking care of a child and doing some housework, how hard can it be? But after just 3 days, I felt like I was about to die. Poppy wakes up 4 or 5 times at night, feeding, changing diapers, and just when I get her to sleep, dawn breaks. Mason and Milo start fussing as soon as they wake up, food, clothes, toys, there's not a moment of peace. I cook a meal for them, and the kitchen looks like a battlefield. Just when I finish tidying the living room, they mess up the bedroom again. By the end of the day, I can't even eat a hot meal, and I have to hold the child even to go to the bathroom. My mom, she completely broke down too. Now she hides whenever she sees the kids, saying her back hurts and she feels dizzy. Last night, she grabbed me and cried half the night, saying she regrets it, saying she's sorry to you. He looked at me, his eyes bloodshot. Shaw, we were all wrong. We treated you like a robot who doesn't need rest and never gets tired. We enjoyed everything you gave, yet took it for granted, even nitpicking you endlessly. We were inhuman. He raised his hand and gently slapped himself. I watched him quietly, unable to pinpoint the exact feeling inside me. There was relief, satisfaction, and a faint, almost imperceptible sting of sorrow. For this day of awakening, I had sacrificed 4 years of my youth and countless nights of breakdowns. So, you're here now to surrender to me on behalf of you and your son? I asked in a teasing tone. He gave a wry smile. Yes. We surrender. Completely convinced. He took a document out of his bag and pushed it toward me. This is a household responsibility agreement I drafted. I picked it up and was stunned. This agreement was even more detailed than the 3 rules I had verbally proposed. It clearly outlined the division of household chores. From Monday to Sunday, every day's cooking, dishwashing, cleaning, and laundry were all explicitly assigned to the 3 of us, down to specific time slots. Childcare responsibilities, feeding, bathing, bedtime stories, homework help, and driving to extracurricular classes, Derek took on at least 60% of the tasks. Financial management plan, establish a joint account into which he and I each deposit 30% of our income, to cover household expenses and my mother-in-law's childcare salary. My personal income remains beyond his control. Mother-in-law and daughter-in-law relationship guidelines, clearly define boundaries. The mother-in-law is only responsible for assisting with childcare during agreed-upon times and must not interfere with our married life or parenting principles. Additionally, a clause prohibits any form of verbal abuse or sarcasm. Violators will have their monthly salary deducted. Personal time guarantee, I am entitled to 2 afternoons off per week as unconditional leave, which I can schedule freely without interruption from family matters. Looking at this agreement, which rivals a business contract, I lifted my eyes to Derek. His face was full of sincerity and earnestness. Shaw, I know an agreement can't undo the hurt I've caused you in the past. But I want you to see my determination. I don't want to lose you, and I certainly don't want our children to grow up in a loveless home. Give me a chance. He stood up, bowed deeply to me. Let's start over, okay? The sunlight outside streamed through the glass, shining on him and illuminating the dust in the room. I knew my battle had been won. With that agreement in hand, I returned to the home I had been away from for a week. The moment I opened the door, I almost thought I had come to the wrong place. The house was spotless, toys neatly stored in boxes, and the graffiti on the walls had been wiped clean. Grace, wearing an apron, was busy in the kitchen. When she saw me, she froze for a moment, her face showing a mix of awkwardness and eagerness to please. Shaw's back? Dinner will be ready soon. Derek was clumsily feeding Poppy rice cereal, and Poppy's face was covered in it, but he was smiling blissfully. Mason and Milo sat on the carpet, building blocks quietly by themselves, no noise, no fighting. When they saw me, their eyes lit up, and they rushed over to hug my legs, calling out in baby voices, "Mom." At that moment, the tension I had held for a week finally softened. At the dinner table, the atmosphere was quietly tense. Grace kept serving me food, murmuring, "Eat more, you're so thin. Working outside must be really tough, right?" I nodded. "It is tough, but fulfilling." Derek finished serving the twins, then said to me, "Shaw, about the agreement, I've already talked to Mom. She has no objections." Grace quickly nodded, "No objections, no objections." Shaw is right, I was just being old and forgetful. "From now on, you're in charge of this family." I looked at her and slowly said, "Mom, I'm not trying to be a dictator in this family. I just hope that each of us can find our proper place, take on our responsibilities, respect each other, and be understanding. This family belongs to all of us, not just me alone." Derek held my hand. "I understand. From now on, I'm here." That meal was the calmest and most harmonious our family had ever experienced. Life began a new rhythm according to that agreement. Derek seemed like a different person. He started leaving work on time, and the first thing he did when he got home was spend time with the kids. He learned how to change diapers, prepare formula, and tell bedtime stories. Although he was clumsy at first, he was earnest in learning. Grace also put away all her sharp sarcasm. She no longer bossed me around but quietly stuck to the agreement, doing her share of the housework and childcare responsibly. When she received her first salary, she was so excited she couldn't sleep all night. The next day, she dragged me to the mall, bought herself a new outfit, and also got gifts for me and the children. And I threw myself completely into my career. For that corporate espionage case, I spent half a month successfully uncovering the crucial evidence of the rival company stealing trade secrets from a pile of seemingly useless fragmented data. When I handed over the complete chain of evidence to the client, the CEO of the rival company personally came to see me and made me an offer I couldn't refuse on the spot, inviting me to serve as the chief consultant for their newly established commercial security and data strategy department. The annual salary was 3 times what I earned as an engineer before, and they allowed flexible working hours. At the age of 30, my life took a sharp turn, heading toward a much broader horizon. I was no longer the full-time housewife trapped in household chores, gradually losing myself. I had my own career, financial independence, and, more importantly, I regained control of my family and the respect of everyone. 1 year later. It was a weekend morning, with the sun shining just right. I was woken up by a burst of laughter. Opening my eyes, I saw Derek playing the train game on the living room carpet with the twins, the 3 of them laughing heartily. Grace was holding Poppy, who could already walk, watering the plants on the balcony, humming a tuneless little song. I stretched lazily and walked into the kitchen to make myself a cup of coffee. Seeing me, Derek smiled and said, "Honey, you're awake?" "I made breakfast, it's in the thermos." I leaned against the doorframe, looking at this warm and harmonious scene before me, feeling as if it were from another world. Who would have thought that a year ago, this home was a battlefield shrouded in smoke? "Mommy, pick me up." Poppy saw me and ran toward me with her little arms open. I scooped her into my arms and kissed her little cheek. "By the way, Shaw," Grace suddenly remembered something. "Aunt Wong from downstairs was telling people again yesterday that our family is doing so well now, and it's all thanks to you. She said you're brave and resourceful, a woman destined for great things." I smiled. Derek came over, wrapped his arms around me and our daughter from behind, resting his chin on my shoulder, and whispered, "She's right. You're the hero of our family." I looked back at him and saw the tenderness and love in his eyes, no longer the fake pretense, but genuine sincerity from the heart. I knew then that my seemingly reckless defection was the right choice. I hadn't destroyed this family, instead, I rebuilt it with a determined, all-or-nothing resolve. I made everyone understand one truth: a healthy family relationship is never maintained by the sacrifice and devotion of just one person, but is built on equality, respect, and shared responsibility. A woman's worth should never be defined solely by labels like good wife, good mother, or good daughter-in-law. We can be anyone, and we can do anything. When we dare to fight for our rights and break the chains of injustice, the only thing we lose are the shackles, but what we gain is the whole world. I held my coffee, gazing at the blue sky and white clouds outside the window, feeling the warmth of my daughter in my arms and the embrace of my husband behind me, my heart at peace. My battle is over. And my true, brand new life is only just beginning.